Hello everyone, today I'll show you how to rotate the sine function or any other graph you want. It doesn't necessarily have to be a function. So, how can we rotate any graph in the xy plane? Well, a graph is a collection of points, right? So the first thing we have to do is just to focus on one single point and rotate it in the xy plane. So let's consider a random point in the xy plane with coordinates x and y. Okay, so now we want to rotate this point by an angle theta. And this is our point P prime with coordinates x prime and y prime. So what we have to do is to find x prime and y prime as a function of the angle theta. Okay, so to find x prime and y prime, we first have to find x and y. So let's call this angle alpha, and the distance between the point and the origin is r. So this is r and this is also r. So now by definition of sine and cosine, we get that x equals r times cosine of alpha and y equals r times sine of alpha, right? Now we can do the same thing for x prime and y prime. So x prime equals r times cosine of alpha plus theta, and y prime equals r times the sine of alpha plus theta. Okay, now we can just use the sum formula for cosine and sine, and we just get x prime equals r times cosine of alpha cosine of theta minus sine of alpha sine of theta, and y prime equals r times sine of alpha cosine of theta plus cosine of alpha sine of theta. Okay, now we want the coordinates x prime and y prime as a function of x and y are the new coordinates of the point P after the rotation. So we can do it this way. We know that cosine of alpha equals x over r and sine of alpha equals y over r. So now we can substitute these into our previous equations. So x prime equals r times cosine of alpha, that is x over r cosine theta, minus y over r times sine of theta, and y prime equals r times y over r times cosine of theta plus x over r times sine of theta. As you can see now, we can just simplify r, and we get that x prime equals x cosine theta minus y sine theta, and y prime equals y cosine theta plus x sine theta. Now we know how to rotate a single point in space, but how do we rotate a function or graph? Well, in our case, the sine function is just the collection of points that satisfies the equation y equals sine of x. So we can imagine to rotate every single point in space by an angle theta. In that way, we are rotating the sine function. So the new equation is just y prime equals sine of x prime, and notice that y prime doesn't mean the derivative of that function, it's just the y coordinate of our point rotated. So we can substitute this and this into our equation. So y cosine theta plus x sine theta equals the sine of our x prime coordinate, that is x cosine theta minus y sine theta. This is the equation of the rotated sine function, but notice that it is not always a function. For example, if we rotate the sine function 90 degrees, we notice that it fails the vertical line test, so it is not a function. If you enjoyed my video, leave a thumbs up, share this video with your friends. Until next time, bye.